Hi, everybody. It's Lisa from Sweet and Sassy Treasures, and I am so excited to show you my new virtual workshop project. Um, I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I'm so sorry. So I have had this in the works for quite some time. It was actually supposed to launch the week of the IOD release, but there was so much going on. My plan this year is to launch a new workshop every 6 weeks, and I try and make it as easy for you as possible. So I added something new this time that I didn't the first workshop, which was the fairy door kit. I even already know what my next workshop's going to be, but I'm keeping that under wraps. So for the first one, it was workshop with kit. I didn't offer the workshop only, and this time I'm going to. So what I want to do is look at it this way. Things that I can save you money by buying in bulk, I'm going to do that and offer those in the kit. Things that I think you may already have or would have a substitute for, I'm not going to put in the kit because why rebuy what you already have? That's going to be the same thing with paints, I'm pretty sure, moving forward too. Is I'm just going to let you add them if it's something that you don't have, but if you have something comparable, again, why spend that extra money? So, hi Tracy, hi Linda. So, I am really, really excited about this. The inspiration is I love to go on Pinterest. I don't get to go there often enough because I'm busy doing other things, but I have always loved the repurposed Altoid tins. And so I kind of married that with my last few projects that I've done for my holiday workshops have had like a glass covering, a plexiglass covering. So I like that too. So I kind of like married all these ideas. And when I was trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to incorporate, I thought about the paper dolls I did as a kid. I used to love them. So remember in the early days, you had to actually fussy cut them all out. And then if you skipped a tab and cut the tab off, do you remember that? It was like the end of the world. Then I remembered they were perforated where you could punch them out. I used to have the same issue that I wouldn't get the tabs. And then I still loved them and I would keep them in a bag or in a folder. And the clothes never quite stuck. They'd kind of fall off your girl or whatever, but it was so much fun. And then the color form ones came, which were so awesome because those you would just cling. And it was almost too quick though. So that was my inspiration. It took me hours upon hours upon hours to find a copyright free paper doll printout. So you have to be careful that when you're using things off the internet, just because you can see it doesn't mean that you're entitled to it. So that's why I had to search so long. And now hi, Sherry. I am going to turn my camera over and show you what I'm using. So this is the classic paper doll that I had when I was a little girl. And I can remember, back then, anything was possible. If you wanted to be a model, it was okay to dream it. If you wanted to be president of the United States, it was okay to dream it. You were still so young that you didn't hit that no culture, or especially for a female back when I grew up. But and I was always supported in that by my parents. So that's what I remember. I remember hours of play and not a care in the world. So, hi, Mary. Hi, everybody. So this is the design, hi, Carol, for the little paper doll. Now, what I realized is this scale wasn't going to work for me. So I've had to scale her down. And my final one that you're going to see today, I'm not positive I'm not going to scale her up a little bit. So I'm going to play with that. But I had fussy cut so many of these out, I was not doing it again. So here is the final project. I'm going to do it this way because there are things that if I lay it, we're not going to be able to. Oh my God, you have some of yours.
Some of her original ones?
Yeah,
wow.
That is so cool. So here is my piece, and it says, "Once upon a time, we dared to dream." So there is a lot to this. So here, this is removable, one of those little clips. Not positive I'm thrilled with the finish on there, but I wanted to get the sample done. And then here are hanging some words and then a beautiful key. So it's a key to the future, a key to possibilities. Oh, thank you, Peggy. So that's what inspired that. And then on the inside, you've got flowers that were made out of, they were 29 cents. Oh my goodness. That were made out of scrapbook paper. And then some of the flowers are projected off the page a little bit. She's projected off the page. And if you can see in the corner, there's a little duck and she's holding the string to the little duck. So we've got some daisies, and then this is the top of it. It actually stands up. Hold on, I don't want to get you dizzy. I'm not going to set this down because there's Pam. So it actually stands up. I'm going to try and stay still. There we go, that's straight.
So cute.
And then I love the look that plastic insert has in it. Like she's behind glass, she's protected. She's in this world where you feel so safe. And, it's when we were naive and we haven't been marred by the outside world. So that's what I think of when I look at this. But now we're going to talk about exactly what this project involves. So this is actually removable. I don't want to show you the bottom of this because I had to Mickey Mouse with a bunch of ideas to get her to stand. So it's actually removable. So if you didn't want to do that part, this is what she would look like. There's shredded paper. Obviously, you can put your own spin on it, but I have paper on the inside, and there will be paper on the back. There just isn't in this one. So in the group, I'll talk about another option, but I'm not going to spoil the surprise by doing it here. Hi, Linda. Hi, Vincetta. So then this just pops back on. I added the glitter.
Thank you, Linda.
At the last minute, and it's definitely something that you can add. There isn't much to it, or you can skip it. And I may prefer this, just leaving this brass colored. But in the kit, you will get the scaled printout of this, whatever I decide to scale. And then here's some paper to put in the bottom. And I may change that to green. I really am kind of partial to the pink, though, I gotta be honest. You'll get your tin. And then here are the scrapbook papers that I used. I'm thinking about adding one. Here's some other elements that you need. And then I got the flower elements, a leaf, the string, a Jenga block, a domino, this little safety pin, a key. Your keys will vary. Here's the clamp, pop dots. Move all this so I don't lose it. And then you'll also get a sheet with the wording that I don't have printed, but it will be printed on cardstock. And so you'll get this wording and this, and I played with the fonts. These were the fonts I was happy with. And then these little words too. So all you'll have to do is cut them out pink. Thank you, Peggy. I like the input. And then I spent a lot of time on this silly template that you also will get in your kit. Thank you so much. So what will you need that isn't included in the kit? And I got to look at my list. So on here, and you could totally skip it, but I think the tags wouldn't be as pretty without it, is Tim Holtz Distress ink. And I use Vintage Photo. So that's not in your kit. Hot glue with the glue gun. And you really don't need that. I did it more out of ease. But the glue that I really like is the Pent Art. Where is it? I thought I left it out. The Pent Art Express glue. That would work for all the purposes. You just have to wait a little bit for things to dry. Oh, you do need the hot glue for this part, though. You do. Then whatever decoupage medium you want, I used gel medium is what I used, especially because I was going on to metal. Scissors, like the fussy cut scissors, like these, it'll be really hard to cut without those scissors. Brushes, obviously. And then I used this a lot. It's just a Craft Bond, an Elmer's Craft Bond glue stick. So any glue stick that's kind of more permanent. If you look at the flowers, I used a fine black pen. You can use a gel pen. I love these. I get them on Amazon. I can't tell you what it says because I can't read that. But it's just like a gel pen. Or you could use a Posca pen. You could use paint. So anything like that. A hole punch. So I needed a hole punch, but I used a smaller one than normal. I used my Crop-A-Dile. So this was 1/8 inch on my Crop-A-Dile. So if you have like a 1.8 metal hole punch, that'll work. So you could make them bigger if you wanted and use a regular hole punch. Oh, then the last thing that I used was a corner rounder. And I used it for the inside. I think you can make an argument to round these corners too. I don't know if I would like that or not. But if you don't want to get a corner rounder, you can use the piece of cardstock that I'm including. It has rounded corners. So you can just trace it and cut them. So you don't need a corner rounder. there are two options. Wait, what was the last thing that I thought? Oh, this little crystal. I think I would prefer ribbon on here. So we'll play with ribbon. All of my ribbon is at my niece's house, but I think I would prefer some ribbon. I don't know, and not the crystal. And then the German glass glitter. I use pouring resin underneath my German glass glitter. So I put this in a little cup and use a toothpick and go around the edges. And then I sprinkle on, I used pure silver for this example, which pure silver looks like this. What was I just lost my train of thought, gosh darn it. But it looked really pretty without that too. But you could, maybe you have sheer frost German glass glitter. That would be pretty. You get the shine without the color contrast. I could see using some glitter on her, adding something sparkly to the flowers. I'm going to keep it simple. Here's that new Kelly green. That would be really pretty on here. And then if you have any type of a sprinkle pen, that would work. So, you know, whatever you have that's going to work. So you have two options, and you have to specify your option when you register. Space is limited by the supplies that I have on hand. So registration is open. If you go to virtual workshops, you will see it there. The cost of the workshop with the kit is $49, and then there's shipping charges too. But if you want to do the workshop only, if you have the supplies or just want to learn some things, then you can sign up for the workshop only, and it's $30. My site will charge shipping, so I have to refund the shipping if you do the virtual workshop. So I'll do that, you know, right away. But so I hope that that this is something that interests you guys. It's certainly way out of my normal wheelhouse, but it's been on my to-do list for the longest time. And so there she is.
In all her glory.
In all her glory. Yes. So thanks you guys for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.